Now,
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:07. It's O'Connor and Company on a Thursday morning in your nation's capital here. Thanks for joining us. We are all loaded up for a big day here in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump will be in town, and he will be arraigned. We'll give you all the details in just a moment. And to prepare you for the arraignment and more details of that indictment, at 7:05, we'll talk to John Solomon from Just the News. 7:35, Dr. Marty McCary on growing media hysteria over COVID-19. 8:05, Peter Schweitzer on the Biden scandals. And 8:35, Molly Hemingway wraps it up. I'm Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
And I almost feel like I'm giving you an advanced traffic report right now. I am not technically in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center right now, but let me just tell you, this afternoon, if you work in and around downtown D.C., or if you use any of the major arteries and thoroughfares that rely on incoming or outgoing traffic to downtown Washington, D.C., you're going to have a nightmare. Because at 4 p.m., former President Donald Trump is set to be arraigned in the federal courthouse. Now, what does that mean to you and your traffic? Well, there's going to be protesters. There's going to be counter-protesters. There's going to be Secret Service. There's going to be motorcades. And it's right in the middle of rush hour. 4 p.m., right at if they really cared about the people of this area and of this city, they'd figure they used to do arraignments.
We get up early.
Yes.
How about having
do it at 5 in the morning.
morning?
That's right.
Yeah.
Do it in the middle of the night, or do it via Zoom. You know, back during the lockdown, they were able to arraign criminal suspects, I should say, via Zoom or via video. But no, we're going to have the big show because that's what they want. The big show.
They do.
They want.
But the funny thing is, this will only grow Trump's support.
Absolutely,
Seeing him
will.
In a quasi sort of perp walk, showing up to federal court. Yeah, watch his poll numbers jump.
He is due to be arraigned by Federal Circuit Judge, U.S. Magistrate Judge Moxila Upadhyaya.
Well, that's an interesting name.
You're
I love
very,
that.
very welcome.
Moxila.
Spokesperson for Special Counsel Jack Smith said, isn't this nice that they actually have a spokesperson that speaks on the record instead of just leaking things to the media? Jack Smith said that the office's understanding is that the appearance will be in person, but that was ultimately up to the court. Trump attorney during a CNN appearance similarly indicated it was the court's decision. He says that's up to the court. The court will make those decisions. We're prepared to follow whatever the court rules are. Judge issued a summons, and he'll appear either virtually or in person. So we don't the last we heard, he's going to be here. But I guess they could, at the last minute, decide to do it virtually, which I think would really be nice, frankly, just in terms of the mess. But we'll see. Like I said, they want the show. In preparation for the proceedings, either way, protesters will show up, and they're already putting up barricades. But they're those barricades. They're the ones that look like a little bike rack, the ones that did so well, on January 6th, keeping people from pushing through the Capitol. They were putting those up late last night in front of the federal courthouse. Road closures, security, all planned for the appearance later today. So, listen, we're going to keep you up to speed on all of this stuff. As you know, Vince Colonnese will be right here where he belongs from 3 to 6 during the build-up to this. Any traffic concerns we'll tell you about, obviously, as well. But I got to say, most of the commentary, setting aside Bill Barr, former Attorney General Bill Barr, who was on Fox News last night saying, it was a pretty strong case. Beyond that, I'm not, even from the left, even on cable news from CNN and MSNBC, I'm not hearing the robust enthusiasm about these indictments that you would expect to see necessarily. The analysis here is, again, they're basically saying, well, it's an interesting interpretation of federal code, and I can see how this would fit. There's no precedent really necessarily, but let's see what happens. Same thing they said about Alvin Bragg as well, and frankly, the same thing many commentators said about the confidential documents case. And one would think that when a federal prosecutor, in the case of Jack Smith, or a district attorney in Manhattan, our largest city in the case of Alvin Bragg, one would think when those gentlemen bring forth indictments against a former president and the current leading candidate for president in next year's election, you would think that it would be a slam dunk. you would think that there wouldn't be any guesswork. Otherwise, they might be a little circumspect and say, "Ooh, maybe we shouldn't bring these charges because it's a bit of a coin flip. It's a bit of a tough call. And if that's the case, maybe we should side on the idea of this is too political to handle." I mean, God knows that's what James Comey did when it came to Hillary Clinton. And that one was, in fact, a slam dunk.
You know, it's interesting you talk about sort of the lack of enthusiasm about these cases, except for MSNBC, right? But I think people sort of have a sick feeling in their stomachs. Maybe aside from MSNBC and the Bulwark, I think that most people have kind of this sense of this isn't fair. Yeah. They sense the hypocrisy with what happened with Hillary Clinton. Yeah. And so I do agree with you. There seems to be a deficit on the enthusiasm scale here.
You're right.
Go ahead.
Well, I'd just like to add one thing to it, and that's listen, there's the criminal aspect of it, and there's the politics of it. And one thing I saw from, you mentioned the Bulwark, and I'm not going to name names, but there are a lot of never Trump conservatives who were all echoing the same thing. They're never Trump Republicans, I should say, who were all saying the same thing yesterday. And it really started sort of, digging at me. And I actually did a full monologue on this on my television show last night. This is what I would see from people yesterday. If even half of the things in this indictment are true, which right there always makes me laugh, because you're conceding that a special counsel under the U.S. Department of Justice may have put half lies in a court document. Right. When the federal government puts forth an indictment, everything is supposed to be true. So when you preface your remarks with, if even half of it is true, you're already conceding the fact that there could very well be corruption here, okay?
Yes.
But then they say this. They say, listen, this may not rise to the level of criminal activity. But what I'm reading...
Full stop.
Right,
it
full
should
stop.
be full
Just
stop
end
right there.
Yes. End right there. But no, this is what they say. But when you read this indictment, it may not rise to the level of criminal activity, but it is disqualifying for this man to be president of the United States. Or the other thing they're saying is, what you will read, you might not read criminal behavior in this indictment, but you will read and recognize that Donald Trump is unfit for office. That's the other way to do it. Yeah. Unfit for office or disqualifying. Can I just tell you, please, I beg you, be wary of any pundit out there who says someone is disqualified from being on the ballot. The only thing that disqualifies you from being on the ballot is being under the age of 35, not being a naturally born citizen of the United States, which, by the way, still hasn't been officially defined by the Supreme Court. And in the 14th Amendment, if you were held federal office and you were found guilty of insurrection against the United States government, that would keep you. But even that you could get out of.
I want to also point out, so they basically boil down to that he's disqualified because he's icky. They don't like him.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't like what he did. We don't like what he said.
These same people totally turn a blind eye to Hunter Biden sniffing coke off a prostitute's butt.
That's right. That's not disqualifying.
And Joe Biden using his drug-addled son to bring money into the family. These same people do not find that icky or disqualifying or distasteful. They just focus on Trump and his supposed misdeeds that might not be criminal, but boy, they're yucky. But let's just ignore.
Yeah, they're basically when they say it's disqualifying and he's disqualified from being president. What they're saying is, listen, you haven't listened to my arguments. You haven't listened to my logic. You haven't listened to my reason. You haven't listened to all my great intelligence that I've delivered to you over the years about why you shouldn't vote for this guy. Yeah. So instead, I'm just going to second guess you, preempt it, pull the carpet out, and try to shame you into not voting for him. You shouldn't vote for him because I've said he's disqualified based on his behavior. The only people who decide who is disqualified from office is we, the people. We have that say, and if a person loses an election fair and square, that's how they're disqualified. So keep your eye on whatever prize you happen to be looking at. It's 6:15. All right, get ready, Washington, D.C., because this weekend, Beyonce will be in town. That's right, big concert. Lots of tickets sold. People are already going crazy about it. Beyonce will be in Washington. And can I just say, our program director and fearless leader, Bill Hess, is absolutely losing his mind over this. It's insane. You haven't seen him when he's in his full Beyonce mode, but he's
really
insane over Beyonce. Yeah.
Wow.
But no, now, you can hear him coming because you hear this in the faint distance. You hear, if you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. He's doing the whole dance and everything. It's something to behold.
You're all...
Meanwhile, over at Fox 5, our friends over at, we love Fox 5. I do a weekly hit with them during the mornings.
You're about to go work for Fox 5 full time.
Yeah, right. Well, so they did something. I love it when morning shows do stuff like this. I feel like we did this one time too on our show. I can't remember what. Oh, it was with Aerosmith, and it was a long story. I don't want to get into it. Anyway, all through the morning show yesterday on Fox 5, at various times, the crew, Tucker Barnes, Steve, the whole team, they dropped Beyonce lyrics to each other just in casual conversation. And then they put that here. Listen, it's great. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I had it set up for Darth Vader.
To the left, to the left.
Everything you own.
In the box to the left.
In the closet, that's my stuff.
If I bought it, please don't touch.
Don't touch.
Keep talking that mess, that's fine.
Could you walk and talk at the same time?
My name that's on that jag. Pack your bags, let me call you a cab. Standing in the front yard.
Telling me how I'm such a fool?
Talking about how I'll never, ever find a man like you.
You got me twisted. You must not know about me. You must not know about me.
I can have another you in a minute.
Matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute.
Baby.
You must not know about me.
You must not know about me.
And by the way, every one of those references they never mentioned Beyonce. They weren't talking about Beyonce. It was just interaction.
Casual conversation.
Yes. Just casual interaction during the show. And then later in the day, they put that montage together to say, we might be excited about Beyonce being in town.
That's great.
I love that. So there you go. Are you excited?
Are you going?
Of course
Larry?
not. Of course not. No, I...
Nor am I.
Not my jam. No, not necessarily.
Mine.
I liked her in the Austin Powers movie, and I did like everyone else like the all the single ladies video. But I think my interest in Beyonce peaked with all the single ladies.
Yeah, me too.
After that, it was sort of.
I'm embarrassed to say I don't follow her at all, so I really don't know what's come out since then.
Oh, really? No, I mean I hear it enough and I know enough of the songs, but it's not a whole lot anyway.
Yeah, but she's very popular.
She is very popular, and she wears her costumes very well.
Yes.
And I will leave it at that. Yes. And
yes, Larry. There you
meanwhile,
go.
apparently, I've been called into the boss's office after the show. Oh boy. Well. It's been fun. 6:21 on a story that broke several months ago. This involves the mayor of College Park, Maryland, or I should say the former mayor, Patrick Wojahn. You remember he was celebrated as, of course, College Park right here in the nation's capital, and he was an out-of-the-closet gay activist who was the mayor of College Park, which was a big deal in Washington, D.C. He was very active in pushing back against Trump and Pence, and you know how this goes. They end up embracing Pete Buttigieg, did all these photo ops with him. This is the future. Well, he has officially pled guilty to 100 counts connected to the possession and distribution of child sexual abuse material.
Yeah.
Child pornography. It was March when he was arrested. College Park, of course, as you know, is the home to the University of Maryland's main campus. He agreed to his plea deal in court yesterday, and he will be serving a 30-year prison sentence.
Yeah, he was arrested. Police sort of figured this out after they received a tip in February from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children about a social media account that was eventually traced back to him. So, I mean, what a shock.
Yeah.
And he said that he is now going to be dealing with his own mental health issues, and he'll have plenty of time to do that sitting in the slammer.
He served as mayor of College Park since 2015, and listen, I'm obviously glad that we got the sentence and the plea deal and we got him. But in a way, I kind of didn't want a plea deal because I wanted everything to come out in open court. I wanted all of the discovery. I wanted all of the evidence, and I wanted people to see exactly what was going on here beneath our nose. And all of the media here who celebrated the guy, all they needed to know was he was a gay mayor. And so he was a hero. And he's on, and you can't criticize, you can't say anything about him. And now look at what was going on behind the scenes.
Well, he was right. He was climbing that intersectionality ladder, and those people are untouchable.
That's right.
But now we know.
Now we know. Now you all know. Enjoy your 30 years in the slammer. Although the way criminal justice reform works in Maryland, and with this attorney general and this governor, he'll be out in 5 years.
WMAL-FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37 here on this busy Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us as we got you covered across the board on all the stories that matter most to you, with all the context that is required to actually understand those stories fully and truthfully. Joining us at 7:05, John Solomon will join us. 7:35, Dr. Marty McCary from Johns Hopkins. 8:05, Peter Schweitzer, and 8:35, Molly Hemingway. That's a good lineup, especially when you add Julie Gunlock to the mix. Julie, thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning. You know, I will not stop reporting news events regarding Meghan Markle and the former Prince Harry. Or is he still the prince?
Oh, yes. Yes. They haven't removed their titles.
Okay.
Yeah, they haven't removed their titles.
There's more in the news about how Prince. So Harry and Meghan are going viral, right? They just, you know how they want their privacy, and they just want to live their life and raise their children. Well, there's a viral video of them making a surprise phone call to a young couple. The recipients are of First Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund. They got a grant from the Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund, which I guess is some fund that Harry and Meghan are in front of. They're receiving this grant for what do they get the grant for? I can't even.
Who cares?
Literally, honestly, in the write up, they never even say what the grant is about.
Yeah, none of this matters. It's all pretend.
Right.
Look, Will and Kate do a lot of this. They make phone calls to people, particularly during COVID.
Right. And they don't do a big video shoot.
Well, actually, they do.
Oh, all right.
Actually, they do. They do. But there's a lot of imitation going on here. You know, them sort of like making this big to-do about this grant that nobody really cares about because it's all about them.
Sorry, I'm told that this is a grant for young leaders who are working on a more equitable future.
Who cares? Anyway.
Oh, I think that puts it all into perspective because, you know, the British royalty and Meghan Markle, a Hollywood actress, they're all about equity.
Equity.
Yeah, they want everyone. So here they are. They're sitting. There's a beautiful photo shoot set up as they're in the expansive lawn of their $20 million mansion. And here.
Congratulations. This is great. And we're so happy to have you as part of this team.
Really, thank you for all the work you're doing. It's huge. It's making an enormous impact.
It was like young people were empowered and emboldened to say things to me online that they would never say to me in person.
And so my vision was,
can we actually stop the cyberbullying at the source with the cyberbully via a behavioral approach?
They just want their privacy.
I love Meghan Markle, who is known to have bullied the royal staff. Yeah. Okay, when she was still part of the royal staff, working royal. They did a huge report on how she harassed and bullied people. She harassed Kate, brought Kate to tears. And their own organization, whatever it's called, I can't remember. Anyway, Archwell,
yeah.
I mean, they can't keep staff. They are constant. People are constantly leaving Archwell because Meghan is she's a terror. She's an entitled, spoiled brat.
But we have to end the cyberbullying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Delicious.
Meanwhile, they're not the only ones with this sort of noblesse oblige, let them eat cake, we're going to let you be the queen for a day kind of thing that is really unseemly. And I mean, can you imagine Queen Elizabeth, doing what Gwyneth Paltrow is doing here, whose pals, they're neighbors up there in Montecito, California. Gwyneth Paltrow is inviting one lucky fan to Airbnb her $5 million eco mansion in Montecito. So in other words, one of my lucky fans will get to sleep overnight in my mansion. That's so gross.
It's so gross. It's so gross. And can you imagine the rules? Take your shoes off. You'll be sleeping on this blow-up bed in this, in the maids, in the servants' quarters.
That will be burned in the backyard after you leave.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gross. And these people are all sort of the same, right? They all sort of pretend to be such men and women of the people, but in reality, you don't want to spend a moment with them.
No, they're very, this whole sort of gross elite rich, too much money, but because of social media, they feel like they have to reach out and be in touch with the little people, kind of.
Okay, this is hilarious, Larry. It's not even her home that she's offering up to Airbnb to someone to Airbnb it. It's the guest house, which, by the way, the guest house is bigger than my actual house.
But that's where the help sleeps. So she's kicking out the maids and the gardeners.
And by the way. And you're right. This guest house will be burned to the ground after this person
We were going to bulldoze it anyway for a bigger pool. Don't worry.
Exactly.
It's fine. But the good news is you get to rub shoulders with A-list neighbors like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. So it's all one little circle fest there. Can I just say... So I remember when Bernadine Dorn and her terrorist husband, Bill Ayers, they were trying to raise money for their school in Chicago, and so they were auctioning off the right to watch the Super Bowl with them. And
can you imagine?
Well, yeah, and you remember the story? Tucker Carlson bought it. And then, he won it because he wanted. It's like, absolutely, I'll spend $5,000 to have dinner with Bernadette Dorn and Bill Ayers, and then he brought Andrew Breitbart with him.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's legendary.
I've never heard this.
Oh, it's legendary. And Breitbart dined out on it for a year. He would tell the story and talk about the little, what they did in the conversations.
So he had dinner with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Tucker Carlson and Andrew Breitbart had dinner with Bill Ayers and Bernadette Dorn because they bought it in this charity thing. So I'm thinking we need to do we need to win this Gwyneth Paltrow thing.
I'm not getting anywhere near Gwyneth Paltrow. She makes candles that smell like her.
Oh, I guess that's fair.
I don't really want to get near anything.
We don't need to.
You go alone, Larry. You and Meredith.
How's she going to fumigate that guest house? It's going to smell like her
private
those candles,
parts. Those candles will be burning in the guest house.
Gosh, what does it smell like in here?
No, stop. Let's not talk about this. I shouldn't have brought it up.
Oh, I guess Shakespeare's in love again.
Gwyneth Paltrow, welcome to my Montecito home. Behind me is my beautiful little guest house, which I'm about to list on Airbnb.
Little.
Lovely little bar, the bedroom, with nice high ceilings. In here, we've got a nice soaking tub, some of my favorite Goop products.
Light the
candles. Your skin is going to be better when you leave than when you came. This is nestled right in nature, so you can come and have a zen moment with lots of light and fresh air. Another amazing thing we can do when you come and stay is we could have a little chef's dinner together in our wine room. And you can select whatever bottle of wine you like, and we can have a fantastic, cozy dinner with your guest and my husband.
It's just nauseating. But we have to do this.
Don't forget, Gwyneth Paltrow is an eco-warrior. She is really big about urging average Americans to cut their consumption, right? So that we can, and to end fossil fuels, right? To buy EV cars, to switch to, fluorescent. Anyway, the point is that how much carbon is she emitting?
Oh, but no. But her whole mansion is eco-friendly. She's already she's paid her penance. She's got her indulgences from John Kerry and Al Gore, the twin cardinals and popes of the climate change religion. So she's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah,
so anybody can now win this thing, and then they'll be able to stay in the guest house and hobnob and do the chef's. I love the chef's dinner. But here's one person that I doubt Gwyneth would like us to do this, and
we should.
And stay there. I think we should too. Here's another person she would not like as a tenant in her Airbnb guest house, her little guest house. That would be Hunter Biden, because it's now been revealed that you remember when he was living out in L.A. for a few years there in hiding after he got clean, so to speak.
It's when he started painting.
Yeah. Yes. Well, apparently he trashed the $4.2 million Venice Beach rental house. Yeah. He acted rude and entitled, and so did his wife, Melissa. Yeah.
Yep.
Left the property in disarray and disrepair, and stiffed the owner for $80,000 in unpaid rent.
Yeah.
This is the son of the President of the United States.
Yeah. The owner is the founder of Sweet Green, which is this sort of farm to table sort of bougie.
There's one of those in Rosslyn.
Place.
Yeah. It's like it's
it's what's so interesting is he said that he decided not to take Hunter to court because he did not need the money. Guy's a billionaire, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, and frankly, it was embarrassing. And there's probably another reason, right? Just how much would he be looked down upon
that's
by
right.
Democrats
Exactly.
if he sued the poor drug-addled son of President Biden?
Oh, Julie, you're thinking, I'm sorry, way too small. You're right. He would be in the doghouse with his Democrat pals in Southern California, and he wouldn't be invited to any of the parties. Oh, but I think there would be an IRS audit involved.
There'd
I
also
think
probably be a slowdown in his business.
Though the Justice Department would take a look at his business practices as he rolled out his franchise business. Did he dot all the I's and cross all the T's? Yeah. Was he outside of the law in any way? There would be investigations of this man if he dared to sue the son of the president.
He says, and frankly, it's embarrassing. Embarrassing to who? To him?
Yeah.
Or to the Biden family. You're absolutely right.
They were totally disrespectful of Jonathan and his wife. It was rented out for $25,000 a month, by the way. Hunter stiffed them for $80,000, left the place in disrepair.
$80,000.
Melissa was rude and entitled. They destroyed the stereo equipment in the home, and when someone came to fix it, they were uncooperative, and they left the place dirty. Can you imagine how gross that place is, what went on in that place with Hunter Biden? But this is...
But again, $80,000, okay? Yeah. He just stiffs them. And you know what? He can do that because, frankly, it's embarrassing, as this guy said, to bring them to court. He knows that most people, and especially well-connected Democrat business owners of, major chains like Sweetgreen, are going to say, I don't need the money. We're going to let this go. And Hunter knows that.
It is